you would use a stacked bar chart, typically when you have values that add up to 100%. It is possible to use them when you have values that don't add up to 100%. But as we saw during the data visualization section with that graph that had the little zigzag on that y-axis, this can get a little bit misleading, so make sure you use that with caution. But to create a stacked bar chart, so again, here's my data. This is fictional data, looking at, how these fictional people feel like they belong in whatever situation they might be in. So coming up here to insert, again to the bar chart, but this time we're going to go down here to more column charts, and it pulls up, these options for us. And we are going to go to a stacked column. Well, rather, we're not going to go to a stacked column. Here's where you would find it. We're going to go into a 100% stacked column. And you can actually see, how it gives you two different options for like what you want those bar labels to be. So here, the one that is highlighted, each of the questions is a bar, and that's how we're going to want it. But over here, they kind of flipped it. And so each of like the strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree are a bar. And then it kind of maps the questions on there for like how many people answered. So that would be hard to understand and not really what I want. So I'm going to choose this. Oh my gosh, come on now. As a way to visualize my data. So again, here is our chart. These grid lines need to go. Come on. There. All right, hit delete on my keyboard. Chart title should probably be better than it is. So we'll say sense of belonging among some fictional set of people. We'll say among the Martians. And then, here's what we have. And so on this question, it says, I feel like I have friends that look like me. And we can see that for that strongly agree category, it's just a tiny little sliver of blue down there. The agree category is this kind of burnt orange. Disagree category is this gray, and the strongly disagree is the yellow. And so we can kind of see, just looking, that like how people are answering the question. If we wanted to look at like changing the colors, or if we don't like gray or orange or what have you, we can click on that color, and we can either go here to change colors and like completely change the overall theme, if you will. So like these are just some preset options that Excel has built in, but you do want to think about accessibility, and you kind of want to think about, are you trying to tell a story? So like, do you want some of the more negatively worded items, or like the disagree, the strongly disagree, do you want those to be a different color or a different shade of color than the more positively connotated ones, so like the agree and strongly agree? But that's how you would change all of them, like to just a completely different theme. If you wanted to just individually change them, we would come up here, so not chart design, but format this time. And we can go to shape fill. And so currently it's gray. Let's say that we don't like gray, and let's say that we would prefer it to be green. Actually, let's do this green right here. And so we can see that now it's here, but actually I lied. I don't want it quite that like that. I want it to be lighter green. And then we want the strongly disagree. So that yellow, we want it to be a deeper green. So kind of they're the same shade or the same kind of overall color, but the strongly disagree is a more dense version of that. And, we could do the same thing with the orange. So maybe have that be a lighter orange. Nope, not the outline, the fill. A lighter orange. And then this can be a darker orange. I keep going to the shape outline. Darker orange. There we go. What you want to, keep in mind though, why this may or may not be colorblind friendly, it probably isn't very monochromatic friendly because these are going to be coming across similar in a grayscale. So, kind of play with the colors a little bit, and, ensure that it's telling the story that you want to tell, and maintaining accessibility, because you don't want it to be inaccessible. If you wanted to, you could, again, add your data labels. So if we go to chart design up here, add chart element, we could add, not a data table, a data label. And, maybe we would want it just in the center this time, because they're the thicker bars, and having it at the end doesn't make as much sense. So we could do that. But then we would also have to notice that, hey, these are really hard to read. So we'd probably want to change, the font of that. So we could go to, format, or we could, format our data label, go over here to text options. I got this by just double clicking, by the way. And, I could change that to a different color. That one probably doesn't make much sense to change. Let's maybe just change this one to a nice bright white. And look, I can see it now. So, again, if you're making one of these, play around with it. Make sure that it's both interpretable and accessible. But overall, same process. Highlight your data, create the chart.